All right, get ready, golf fans, because today we're taking a deep dive into something pretty unexpected. The origins of golf. You know, we all picture this perfect greens, the pristine fairways, but we're going to go way back, like beyond Scotland.
Way back.
Yeah. To unearth, like, the global history of this game. You ready for this?
I am.
You might be surprised how far back golf's roots actually reach.
You're going to be surprised, definitely.
Lead on me.
Well, everyone thinks of Scotland, right?
Of course.
Kilts, bagpipes, but they just refined the game we know today.
Okay.
The idea of whacking a ball with a stick towards a target, that's a universal thing throughout history.
So I shouldn't be thinking of kilts and bagpipes. What should I be picturing then? Roman gladiators.
Maybe not gladiators, but the Romans did have a game. It was called paganica. Imagine like curved sticks, a leather ball stuffed with feathers, and Romans just kind of having a go at something like golf. And it wasn't just them. The French, they had jeu de maille with mallets, and the Belgians, they had this game shoal, another stick and ball game. It seems like this idea of hitting a ball with a stick was already kind of in play for centuries.
That's wild. So were these early games like just casual fun, or was there, I don't know, was there structure to them?
Some were more organized than you might think.
Really?
Yeah, so there's this really cool story from 1338 in Germany. Imagine a law in Dresden that used a golf-like game to settle, like property lines.
What?
Yeah. Shepherds would hit a stone with a stick, and that determined their grazing area. It's wild. It's like medieval golf meets property surveying.
You're telling me that golf was basically like medieval zoning law. That's insane. So if these ancient games are already happening, where does this like Scotland invented golf thing come from?
Here's where things get really interesting. The Dutch were playing a game called Colvin as early as 1297. And it might have been like a crucial step towards what we think of as golf today.
Wait, hold on. The Dutch, I thought Scotland was like the exclusive origin.
Yeah, I know, right?
What was Colvin like?
It's kind of like a more free-form version.
Okay.
So instead of aiming for a hole, they targeted trees, barn doors, even frozen branches stuck in a lake.
Okay.
And forget manicured golf courses, right? This was played on fields, frozen lakes.
Oh, wow. So it's like those Dutch masters paintings, but instead of like landscapes, it's just golf balls flying past windmills and ice skaters.
Exactly.
You got it.
I love it. Okay, but seriously, how did this Dutch game influence Scottish golf? Like, how did that happen?
Trade. Trade played a big role. Ships between Holland and Scotland, right? It spent a lot of time in port. And in sailors, they weren't just swapping goods, they were swapping games too.
Yeah, of course.
It's very likely that Colvin hitched a ride across the North Sea, and that's how golf got planted in Scotland.
Okay. I mean, that makes sense. So if the Dutch were already doing something like golf, what does Scotland actually do? What did they contribute? Well, think of it this way. Scotland might not have come up with the concept, but they shaped it. They formalized it into the sport we know today.
Okay.
They took this basic idea from Colvin and added, well, everything else. Rules, etiquette, competition, the whole structure.
Okay. So how did that transformation happen? Was it like a light bulb moment or more of a slow evolution?
It was definitely gradual.
Okay.
But we can see this shift toward, like, real rules in this really interesting document. It's from 1545, a Latin textbook. And get this, it was written by a Dutchman.
Those Dutch, they were always one step ahead.
They were.
What did this textbook say about golf?
Well, it describes a game that's surprisingly similar to modern golf.
Yeah.
You hit the ball into a hole. There were rules against missing the ball, even against pushing it while putting. They were already laying down the rule book back then.
Some things never change.
No.
I bet some golfers today still wish they could, like, nudge the ball on the green.
I'm sure they do.
Yeah.
But what really put Scotland on the map, like what was the turning point? I think it's 1744 with the Gentlemen Golfers of Leith. They organized the first, what we know of, golf competition.
So, like, the first official golf tournament?
Basically.
No green jackets yet, though, huh?
I doubt it. But they were serious about the competition. Some of the rules sound familiar, even today.
Really? Like what?
Well, teeing off within a club's length of the hole. But some rules were different. They couldn't change their ball after teeing off. Imagine that.
You'd lose your Pro V1 in the rough and have to finish with a rock. Yeesh. But it sounds like these gentlemen golfers, they really got things going.
They did, absolutely. They paved the way for, official golf institutions like the Royal and Ancient Golf Club of St. Andrews in 1754. Not just a famous course, but basically the birthplace of golf's governing body.
St. Andrews. Legendary course, birthplace of golf's rules. Starting to understand how Scotland really took ownership, but was it always this, like, exclusive sport, the way we sometimes see it today?
It's a complex question. Golf has a history of exclusion, for sure, especially toward women.
Oh, yeah.
The first women's golf club, that wasn't until 1867, also in St. Andrews. So for a lot of its history, yeah, golf was a man's world.
That's unfortunate, but I guess not surprising for the time. So how did golf make that transition from, exclusive club to something more accessible?
Big turning point, I think, was the Industrial Revolution.
Okay.
Before mass production, golf equipment was, well, handmade, expensive, fragile. But the Industrial Revolution, that changed everything.
So it was like the price tag that opened the game up.
Exactly. Cheaper, more durable golf balls, clubs. Now people from all walks of life could actually afford to play. And that really, changed the social landscape of golf.
Wow, something as simple as like mass production having such a huge effect on the whole sport.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
So golf's more affordable now. Where does it go next? What happens?
Well, we see a boom. Late 19th century, golf courses popping up everywhere, continental Europe, New Zealand, South Africa, even the U.S.
Knowing what we know now, I'm betting Germany played a big role in that, right?
You got it. The first German golf course, that was in 1891 in Bad Homburg. Full circle, right?
But
Golf really took off in Germany, early 20th century. But, the world wars that kind of set things back. A lot of clubs closed, development stopped. But what's really interesting is how the post-war division of Germany impacted golf.
okay, that is interesting. What happened?
So in the zones that were occupied by the Americans and British, golf, they actually encouraged it. But in the Soviet-controlled zone, banned outright.
Wow, didn't know golf got mixed up in Cold War politics. So we've been talking about, the early days, but I want to hear about the pros. When did those big tournaments, the ones we all follow, when did those start?
The international tournaments, those are the pinnacle, right?
Oh.
Especially the men's 4 major championships. They draw huge crowds, the world's best players. They show how global golf has really become.
And each of those majors has its own, I don't know, its own story, its own feel. Where should we start?
Let's go with the granddaddy of them all. The Open Championship, or just the Open,
Okay, I'm with you.
1860, at Prestwick Golf Club in Scotland.
Ah, there's Scotland again. What makes the Open so special, like different from the other majors?
The Open, it's famous for being wild. Unpredictable weather, challenging courses, and, centuries of tradition. It's played on these historic courses along the coasts of Great Britain and Ireland. It takes serious skill, adaptability, and a strong mind.
So it's not just about like hitting the perfect shot. You've got to battle the elements too.
Exactly. You got to be resilient. Talent's important, but so is resilience when it comes to the Open.
I can see that. So the Open is all about like the wild side of golf. What about the U.S. Open? When did that one get started?
The U.S. Open, first one was 1895, and it's known for being brutal. Tough course setup, thick, rough, fast greens, and just difficult conditions. The USGA, they run the tournament, and they take pride in making it a real challenge.
Yeah.
Push even the best players to their limits.
So U.S. Open is all about precision, strategy, handling pressure when the course is fighting back. Okay, what about the PGA Championship?
The PGA, it actually has a really unique history. It started as match play back in 1916, Seawanoy Country Club in New York.
Match play.
Yeah.
That's a whole different level of intensity. It's like a bunch of mini duels within the tournament.
Exactly. It wasn't until 1958 that they switched to stroke play, which is what we see today.
Fascinating. Okay, so we've got 3 out of the 4. That leaves the Masters, the one that always feels, I don't know, magical, I guess.
It does have something special about it.
What do you think it is? Why does the Masters capture everyone's imagination the way it does?
Well, for one, it's invitational.
Okay.
Only certain players even get to play. And it's founded by Bobby Jones, the legend himself, back in 1934. Always played at the same course, too, Augusta National.
Augusta National. Yeah, that's a golfer's paradise. The azaleas, the pine trees, and men corner. It's iconic.
And don't forget the traditions. The ceremonial tee shot from past champions. The green jacket. That whole atmosphere. The Masters has a mystique that the other tournaments just don't have.
It really does. Okay, but we've been talking about the men's game. What about the women? What are the major tournaments that they play in?
The women's game has its own set of big tournaments. prestigious championships,
Yeah.
each one with its own history and challenges. And it's inspiring, really, to see the level of talent and competition in women's golf.
Absolutely. Tell me about them. Where do we even begin?
Well, there's the U.S. Women's Open, the oldest of the women's majors. It goes all the way back to 1946. It's known for, tough course setups, just like the men's, fierce competition. It's one of the most prestigious titles you can win in women's golf.
Sounds like a true test. Okay, what are some of the others?
Well, we've got the Women's PGA Championship. That became a major in 2015.
Oh, wow. Pretty recent.
Yeah, but it's already gained a lot of recognition, which shows you how much women's golf is, growing.
That's great to hear. What else?
We've also got the Women's British Open. Joined the majors in 2001. This one's the only women's major that's held outside of the U.S.
Yeah.
And they play on some of the, the most iconic links courses in the U.K.
Love that they get to experience those legendary courses. Are there any more?
Yep, one more. The ANA Inspiration, used to be called the Dinah Shore, became a major back in 1983.
Ah, the one with the jump into Poppy's Pond.
Exactly. Those celebrations, so iconic. These four majors, they represent the peak of achievement in women's professional golf. You see incredible talent, athleticism, pure determination.
It really is amazing to see women's golf just flourishing like this. It shows how far the sport has come. But with all this history behind us, I'm curious about what's next. What trends and challenges are shaping the future?
I think the biggest one has got to be technology.
Of course.
It's everywhere, right?
Yeah.
High-tech clubs, balls designed for more distance, more accuracy. We've got GPS rangefinders, swing analysis apps giving you instant feedback. It's a whole new world out there.
Yeah, technology is everywhere, even on the golf course. But I do wonder, are there downsides? Is it taking away from the core skills like strategy, course management?
It's a valid concern. Some people argue that it does overshadow the more, cerebral aspects of the game.
Right. It's not just about bombing the ball. It's about thinking your way around the course.
Absolutely.
And then there's the whole fairness thing. If only some players can afford all the new gadgets, does it, create an uneven playing field?
It's a big debate, not just in golf, but in other sports, even in education, right?
Yeah, it's true.
Technology is powerful, but we have to use it wisely.
It's a tough balance, for sure.
It is. Finding a way to integrate it without, losing the heart of the game.
What other trends do you see shaping the future of golf?
Well, sustainability is becoming huge. People are more aware of the environmental impact.
Yeah.
Golf courses, they use a lot of water, land, energy. So are we going to see, more eco-friendly golf courses? Absolutely. And a lot of courses are already doing it. It's not just about doing good, it's good business too. Eco-conscious golfers, they're choosing those courses. The ones that show they're committed to sustainability.
That's encouraging, for sure. But speaking of the future of golf, we can't forget about the next generation of players. How are they changing the game?
The new generation, they're bringing a whole new energy. They're more athletic, more diverse.
So are we saying goodbye to the classic golf swings and hello to power?
Well, power's important, no doubt. But the best players, they still need finesse, strategy, mental toughness. That's how you win, no matter your swing.
Right, so like a fusion of styles, right?
Yeah.
Power and precision.
Exactly. It's exciting to see, how these young players are pushing the boundaries.
And it's great to see the diversity, too, right?
Absolutely. Golf's becoming more accessible, thanks in part to, programs that promote the game in communities that haven't always had access.
Golf should be for everyone.
Couldn't agree more. It's time to break down those barriers and make golf truly inclusive. New perspectives, new talents. It only makes the game richer.
I love that. So it's clear that golf is at this, crossroads, embracing change, but also staying true to its roots. Looking ahead, what are some of the biggest challenges facing the game?
That's a good question. I think attracting new players, keeping them engaged, that's a big one.
Especially in a world with so many other, entertainment options.
Exactly. And golf takes time. It can be expensive. And in today's world, those are barriers. But the industry's adapting, right? We're seeing shorter courses, more flexible tee times, efforts to make golf more social, more fun.
Okay, that makes sense.
And the growth of women's golf. That's a major opportunity. These talented athletes are getting the recognition they deserve. They're inspiring a whole new generation of players.
That's fantastic. And what about technology? We've talked about the downsides, but are there ways it can actually help the game evolve?
Definitely. I think technology, used the right way, can enhance the experience. VR simulators, personalized swing analysis, online platforms that connect golfers. It's about, creating a more engaging experience.
And making it more accessible.
Exactly. And let's not forget the health and well-being
Oh,
aspect.
that's a good point. Golf is good for you.
Right. Get you outside, you're walking, you're connected with nature. It's a great way to de-stress, get some exercise.
It's more than just a sport, right? It's a lifestyle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And a healthy one at that.
This has been an incredible deep dive. Golf's at such an interesting point in its history.
I agree.
We've covered so much ground, from ancient origins to modern tech,
It's a good journey.
but there's still so much more to explore, so stay tuned for part 2 of our deep dive, where we're going to go even deeper into the forces that are shaping the future of this amazing sport.
It's going to be good. I can't wait.
I can't either.
Welcome back to our deep dive.
You know, last time we were talking about how golf is changing, and it got me thinking about those classic golf swings. You know, the ones we see in old photos and films. Those elegant, almost poetic swings. Are those going to, like, disappear?
That's a good question. The younger players, they're all about athleticism, power. But the classic swing, it still has its place.
But wouldn't a powerful, modern swing give you an advantage? I mean, especially with the technology and golf equipment these days.
Power is definitely a factor, you're right. But golf isn't just about, hitting it far. It's about finesse, strategy, mental toughness. Those are the things that separate good players from the greats, no matter what their swing looks like.
So it's not just about distance, it's about how you think your way around the course.
Exactly. A well-placed chip shot, that can be just as important as a 300-yard drive.
Okay.
And that's where those classic swing principles, they can really shine. It's about control, accuracy. Those are essential, especially on those tricky greens, those tight lies.
So are we seeing a kind of, like, fusion of styles,
Yeah.
blending power and precision?
I think so. The best players, they're adapting, evolving their swings, taking the best from, both worlds. They're generating power without sacrificing control. It's really interesting to watch.
I'm starting to realize that golf is so much more than just hitting a ball.
It is.
It's like physical skill, mental strategy, even a bit of artistry, I guess.
You got it. It challenges you on so many levels, and that's part of what makes it, so captivating.
Okay, I'm seeing golf in a new light now. But let's talk about something else that's really important. Sustainability. We touched on it briefly last time, but I want to, dig a little deeper.
Yeah, sustainability is a big topic these days. Golf courses, they use a lot of resources.
Yeah.
Water, land, energy.
Right.
And people are more aware of the environmental impact. So golfers are demanding, more eco-friendly practices.
So what does a sustainable golf course look like? Is it like solar panels on the clubhouse and electric golf carts?
It's more than that. It's about how courses are designed, built, maintained. Think about things like reducing water usage, using efficient irrigation systems, organic fertilizers, pesticides, planting native vegetation that doesn't need as much water,
So it's a whole approach, thinking about the environment in every aspect of the course.
Exactly. And it's not just about being green, it's good business too. Golfers, they want to play at courses that align with their values.
Right. People want to know they're not harming the environment while they're enjoying themselves.
Exactly. And there are some courses out there that are, really leading the way. They're showing that you can have a world-class golf experience while still being, responsible.
That's great to hear. But, golf has this reputation, right? Being a little exclusive. A sport for the wealthy, privileged. Is the golf industry doing anything to address that? Like, make it more accessible?
It's crucial, right? If golf wants to survive, it needs to attract a wider audience. And that means breaking down those barriers. Cost, exclusivity. But how do you do that without, losing the core values of the game?
Yeah, it's a tough balance.
It is. But there's some creative solutions out there. We're seeing shorter courses, sometimes called executive courses. They're less expensive to build, maintain. They take less time to play, too.
Right. Not everyone has time for a full 18-hole round.
Exactly. And some courses are experimenting with more flexible tee times.
Yeah.
Makes it easier for people with busy schedules to, fit in around. And there's a bigger emphasis on being, more welcoming.
So it's like shedding that stuffy image, becoming more inclusive.
Exactly. Golf should be for everyone, no matter your background, your income, your skill level.
I like that. So with all these changes, what are you most excited about for the future of golf?
One thing that gives me a lot of hope is women's golf.
Oh, yeah.
It's growing so much.
It's amazing.
We've seen incredible talent in recent years, and it's finally getting the recognition it deserves.
It's inspiring to see those athletes break down barriers, and they're playing at such a high level.
They really are. And they're not just great golfers, they're role models, They're inspiring the next generation.
Yeah, I agree. They're paving the way for a more diverse, inclusive future for the sport.
They are. And speaking of the future, there's so much potential in technology. We talked about some of the downsides, but there's a lot of excitement too.
Like what?
Imagine VR simulators. You can play some of the most famous courses in the world right from your living room. Personalized swing analysis apps using AI to help you improve. It's incredible.
That's pretty mind-blowing.
It is. And it's not just about playing either. There are platforms for connecting with other golfers online, building communities.
So even if you're physically apart, you can still share that experience.
Exactly. Technology is breaking down barriers, expanding the possibilities of the game. And one more thing I'm really excited about, golf's potential to, you know, promote health and well-being.
We often focus on the competition, but it's easy to forget golf is a great way to stay active, be outdoors.
It is. You're walking, you're getting fresh air, sunshine. It's a great way to de-stress.
Yeah, and there's a social aspect too, right? Connecting with friends, family.
Absolutely. It's a social game. Promotes camaraderie, sportsmanship. It's more than just hitting a ball. It's about connecting with nature, with other people, even with yourself.
It's a whole experience with benefits that go beyond the course.
Exactly.
This has been eye-opening, really. I'm seeing golf in a whole new way.
I'm glad to hear that. It's a game with a rich history, a bright future, and it never stops, surprising us. But before we wrap up, I want to talk about something else.
Okay, what's that?
The rise of urban golf. It's a really interesting trend, especially as cities look for ways to, use their space differently, engage residents.
Urban golf. I've never heard of that.
Think of it as golf adapted to the city. Instead of big courses, you're playing in parks, abandoned lots, rooftops, even parking garages.
So you're bringing golf to the heart of the city.
Exactly. And it's attracting a new type of player, someone who might not have considered golf before. It's seen as edgier, more unconventional.
So it's breaking down stereotypes, making it more accessible.
That's the goal. It's about getting golf out of its comfort zone. So what does an urban golf course look like? Well, they're usually pretty creative, Might use repurposed materials, incorporate street art. You'll find obstacles, challenges you wouldn't see on a regular course.
So it's more, I don't know, freeform, improvisational.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's about adapting to the environment, not trying to, force a traditional format onto the city. And there are different types of urban golf, too. Street golf's popular. Uses special balls that don't travel as far, won't cause damage.
So you could play a round of golf down Main Street.
Pretty much.
Ah.
And then there's adventure golf, which is more like an obstacle course, but with golf.
Yeah.
You might be hitting over cars through tunnels.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then there's target golf, where it's all about accuracy. You're aiming for targets on walls, signs, maybe even trash cans.
Like golf meets darts.
You got it. Urban golf is so adaptable, you can really make it your own.
It's a really cool concept. I can see the appeal, especially for people who want something different, something more creative.
And it's not just about the game. Urban golf can revitalize neglected spaces, bring communities together. It gets people moving, too.
So it's a win-win?
I think so.
Yeah.
It's still early days, but I think urban golf has a lot of potential.
It's great to see golf adapting like this, meeting the needs of a changing world.
It is. And speaking of adaptation, let's talk about another trend. Virtual reality.
VR. You mean like playing golf without leaving the house?
Exactly. VR technology is getting so good. The simulations are incredibly realistic.
So you could be standing in your living room, but you're playing Pebble Beach.
That's the idea. You can play any course in the world, no travel, no weather restrictions.
That's amazing. But can it really compare to the real thing?
VR golf is still evolving, but it's getting pretty close. The graphics are amazing, the physics are accurate, and it can track your swing, give you feedback.
So you could use it to practice, get better?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And for new golfers, it can be a less intimidating way to learn.
That makes sense. But what about the social side of golf? Can VR replicate that?
That's where it gets really interesting. Some VR platforms, they let you play with friends online. You can even compete with people around the world.
So you're still sharing that experience, even if you're not physically together.
Exactly. It's breaking down barriers, connecting golfers in new ways.
This is really fascinating stuff. The future of golf, it's going to be so different.
It's going to be exciting.
It is. I can't wait to see what happens.
Me neither. But before we get to that, we have one more part of this deep dive to go. We'll explore even more trends that are shaping the future of this incredible sport.
Welcome back. It's part 3 of our deep dive. We've explored the past, we've glimpsed into the future, but I'm thinking, what does it all mean, for me as a golfer? How does this actually, change the way I play?
It's a good question, right? Easy to get lost in the history or wowed by the gadgets. But how does all this knowledge, this deep dive, change our approach to the game?
Yeah, exactly. Let's connect the dots a bit. We debunked the Scotland invented golf thing. We saw how the Dutch were playing Colvin centuries ago. What does that, ancient history, what does it tell us about golf today?
It reminds us that golf, at its core, it's more than just, rules and traditions. It's something deeper. This human desire to hit a target with something. That's why we see these games pop up all over the world throughout history.
So when I'm out there, struggling with a slice or celebrating a birdie,
Yeah.
I'm connecting to something much bigger,
Yeah.
a lineage that goes back centuries. That's pretty cool when you think about it.
It is, and it should give us like a sense of perspective. The game has come so far, from those Dutch games on frozen lakes to today's high-tech courses.
And it's still changing.
Absolutely. Technology, sustainability, women's golf, urban golf, even virtual reality.
It's a lot.
It is. But instead of feeling overwhelmed, think of it as a chance to be part of something. This new chapter in golf's story.
Okay, I like that. So how can we, as golfers, embrace this change? How do we shape the future?
Be open, first of all. Try new things. Those high-tech clubs or playing on a simulator, you might discover a whole new side to golf.
Yeah, it's easy to get stuck in a rut, but sometimes you got to shake things up.
You do. And be mindful of the planet. Support the courses that are trying to be more sustainable.
Right. Makes sense.
Choose eco-friendly equipment, if you can.
It all adds up.
It does. And remember the social side of golf. Be welcoming to new players, no matter who they are, what their skill level is.
Right. Golf shouldn't be exclusive.
It shouldn't. Share your love of the game, support programs that promote golf in communities that, haven't traditionally had access.
Yeah, I love that. Golf should be for everyone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, remember why you play.
Well, because it's fun.
Of course. But it's more than that. It's the challenge, the connection, the pursuit of, getting better. Those things, they've always been there throughout golf's history.
Yeah.
And they'll guide the future too.
Okay, that's a great reminder. So after this whole deep dive, what's the one thing you want listeners to take away?
Golf's at a crossroads right now. There are challenges, but there's also so much opportunity. But the future, it's in our hands. We can embrace change, respect tradition, share our passion for the game. And if we do that, I think golf will be around for a long, long time.
That's a powerful message. It brings us back to that question, right? What does all this mean for me as a golfer? It means we have the power to shape the game. So get out there, play, have fun, be part of this new chapter. Who knows? Maybe centuries from now, golfers will look back at this time as the golden age of golf.
You never know.
That's a great thought. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. Remember, the future of golf is in your hands. Hit 'em straight,